Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to tell you a story that starts with silence, embarrassment, and heartbreak, but slowly turns into something warm, hopeful, and unforgettable. The cafe was buzzing with quiet conversations, soft music, and the clinking of cups. She sat alone at a small table near the window, hands folded tightly in her lap, eyes darting to the door every few seconds. Her name was Sarah. She was deaf since birth, and first dates were never easy for her, but tonight felt different. Tonight was supposed to be special. She had spent extra time choosing her outfit, practicing her smile in the mirror, and reminding herself to stay confident no matter what happened. She checked her phone again. No new messages. Her date, a man she had met through a mutual friend, was already 20 minutes late. Sarah tried to stay calm. She told herself he might be stuck in traffic or running behind. Still, a familiar knot formed in her chest. The one she always felt when people underestimated her, avoided her, or simply disappeared. Finally, she saw him walk in. He scanned the room, spotted her, and walked over with a hesitant smile. He stood up politely, offering a small wave. He sat down, and for a moment, everything felt normal. She pointed to her ears and then to her phone, signaling that she was deaf and preferred typing or basic sign language. She had already explained this before, but she always did it again, just to be sure. His expression changed. Confusion, then discomfort, then something close to annoyance. He typed a quick message on his phone and slid it across the table. "I didn't realize it would be this hard to communicate," it read. Sarah swallowed and typed back calmly. "We can text, or I can read lips a little. It's okay." He sighed, leaned back in his chair, and glanced around as if looking for an escape. The waiter approached, smiling warmly, but the man waved him away. Then he typed again, faster this time. "I don't think this is going to work. I'm not ready for this." That word hit her like a slap. This, as if she were a problem, an inconvenience, something broken. Before she could respond, he stood up, grabbed his jacket, and walked out without another word. No apology, no explanation. Just gone. Sarah sat frozen, staring at the empty chair across from her. The cafe suddenly felt too loud, too bright, too full of people who weren't her. Her eyes burned, but she refused to cry. She had promised herself she wouldn't. Instead, she took a deep breath, picked up her bag, and tried to stand. That's when she noticed the man at the next table. He was tall, with tired but kind eyes, and 4 small children crowded around him, each one identical to the others. Quadruplets. They were chatting excitedly, waving their hands, and laughing in a way that didn't need sound to be understood. One of the little girls noticed Sarah first. She tugged on her father's sleeve and pointed. The man followed her gaze and saw Sarah's tear-filled eyes and the empty chair. He didn't need to hear anything to understand what had happened. Stood up slowly and walked over, holding his phone in his hand. He typed a message and gently placed the phone on the table in front of her. "Are you okay?" the message said. Sarah looked up, surprised. She nodded slightly, then shook her head, unsure how to answer. He typed again. "I saw him leave. That less cruel? I'm sorry." Her chest tightened. Kindness from a stranger hurt almost as much as the rejection, because it reminded her of how little she usually received. She typed back, "Thank you, I'm used to it." His eyebrows furrowed, and he typed, "You shouldn't have to be." He gestured toward his table, where the 4 kids were now staring at Sarah with wide, curious eyes. "I'm Mark," his next message read, "and these are my kids. They're a bit noisy, even without sound." One of the boys jumped up and waved enthusiastically at Sarah. She couldn't help but smile. She waved back, and the kids burst into giggles, clearly delighted. Mark typed again, "Would you like to sit with us? No pressure, but you shouldn't be alone tonight if you don't want to be." Sarah hesitated. Years of being judged had taught her to be cautious. But something about his calm presence and the children's pure, unfiltered curiosity made her feel safe. She nodded. They moved tables, and the kids immediately began asking questions, their hands moving animatedly. Mark explained through his phone that 2 of his children were learning basic sign language at school and loved practicing with anyone who would let them. Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. She slowly signed hello. One of the girls copied her movements perfectly, beaming with pride. Sarah laughed silently, her shoulders relaxing for the first time. That evening, they ordered food together. Mark made sure to face Sarah when he spoke, exaggerating his lip movements slightly so she could read them more easily. When he wasn't sure, he typed. There was no awkwardness, no impatience, just effort. Genuine effort. As they ate, Sarah learned that Mark was a single dad. His wife had passed away a few years earlier, leaving him to raise the quadruplets on his own. Life had been chaotic, exhausting, and overwhelming. But his kids were his world. He told her about late nights, school runs, and how he had learned to do 4 ponytails at once without losing his mind. Sarah shared her own story, how she had grown up constantly being told what she couldn't do, how people assumed she was less intelligent because she couldn't hear, how dating was often the hardest part, because rejection came so easily when someone realized loving her would require patience. Mark listened. Really listened. Not once did he interrupt or look distracted. When she finished, he typed a simple message that made her throat tighten. "Thank you for trusting me with that." One of the kids suddenly held up a napkin with messy drawings on it. It was a picture of 4 stick figures holding hands with a 5th one in the middle. The child pointed at Sarah, then at the drawing, then gave a thumbs up. Sarah felt her eyes sting again, but this time, the tears were warm. She signed, "Thank you," slowly and clearly. The kids clapped. Even though they couldn't hear the sound, the nights stretched on, and the cafe slowly emptied. What had started as one of the worst evenings of Sarah's life was quietly transforming into one of the most meaningful. When it was time to leave, Mark typed, "I don't want to make this uncomfortable, but I'd really like to see you again. Not as a replacement for a bad date. Just as you." Sarah took a deep breath. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't afraid of what came next. She typed back, "I'd like that too." They exchanged numbers. As Sarah walked home later that night, she replayed everything in her mind. The rejection still hurt, but it no longer defined the evening. Someone had seen her, truly seen her, and chosen kindness instead of comfort. Weeks passed, and Sarah and Mark grew closer. Their dates weren't flashy or perfect, but they were real. Picnics with the kids, movie nights with subtitles, and lots of popcorn. Quiet walks where they communicated with signs, notes, and smiles. Mark never treated her deafness as something to overcome. It was simply part of who she was. One afternoon, while watching the kids play in the park, Sarah realized something profound. Being abandoned on that first date had led her exactly where she needed to be. Not because pain was necessary, but because kindness had found her when she needed it most. The man who walked away had seen a limitation. The single dad with quiet had seen a person, a future, and a family that could grow in unexpected ways. And sometimes, the silence that follows rejection isn't empty at all. Sometimes, it's just making room for something better. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a little hope today. Until next time, remember, the right people will never walk away when things get a little harder.